Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back with the STi. Unfortunately, this time not with the best news. Was out with Cody the other night, and unfortunately on that cruise, the motor let go. Pretty sure we have ringland failure. I compression tested it cold, and the first one I tested was reading about 100, which is okay for it cold. I was just looking for consistency across the cylinders. The next cylinder I tested at 60, so that's not good. So I'm pretty sure we blew a ringland. Doubt it's the head gasket because it should be leaking in both of them on that side, so they should both be low. But I mean, we're gonna tear the motor apart and see where we're at on that. So kind of sad news. Didn't really want to have to build the motor yet, but I knew it was a possibility when we start pushing more boost, start running E85 and really pushing the car to the limits of what the stock block can handle. So we are going to pull the motor. I've got a good buddy Josh that's going to come over. He's going to help me get the motor out, tear it all the way down, and then we're going to assess the damage to the case halves, the pistons and everything, find out what needs to be replaced. We're going to go ahead and start taking everything out that we need to. We're going to drain the oil, pull the radiator, drain the radiator fluid, pull the radiator, start taking stuff off. The battery's already out, and I stopped the compression test once I knew that one cylinder was low. I just didn't feel like there was any point in continuing to run the cylinders through there. One way or the other, the motor needs to come out to truly assess the damage. We're going to pull the intercooler, all of these pipes, start unplugging everything, and we'll get it all prepared to pull out. I've got went by Harbor Freight, picked up some plastic boxes to throw all the bits and pieces in. I'll show you guys those later. So let's go ahead and start tearing into this thing. Alright guys, so we got the intercooler off, the battery off, pretty much everything I think for right now that needs to come off of the top end before we pull the motor. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the car up on jack stands in the front, drain the radiator fluid, drain the oil, and then pull the radiator out. I want to go ahead and get that out because I know when we go to separate it from the transmission, that engine's going to move a little, and the last thing I want right now is to crash the engine right into that front radiator that's brand new, fairly brand new, and just then have to add that to my list of things to buy in order to get the car back to fighting shape and get it on the road again. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up the time lapse. We'll put the car up in the air and get started on getting the fluids drained. Alright guys, we got the radiator out, got the battery out, well the battery was already out, the airbox out, so we've cleared out a bunch of stuff from the engine bay. Air pump's gone, battery's gone, the radiator is out as well, the intake box is out. Next thing we're going to do is grab the alternator, get that out of there. We're also going to disconnect the AC compressor from the bracket. The bracket needs to stay on there so that we can use that as a hoist point, but it should just flop over. If it doesn't, I'll disconnect it and just get it recharged. And then we also probably want to we'll want to disconnect the engine harness here will need to be disconnected. And we'll disconnect a couple other things as we go, just as I need to. Really the main things, most of this comes out by itself. I'm gonna leave the transmission mounted up and the engine bolts in until we're ready to actually pull it out. And then what I'll do is get it hooked up to the chain, get the engine hoist in there. We're gonna pick one of those up, and then we'll start getting a little tension on it. Then I'll start undoing the bolts for the transmission. We'll get the clutch fork disengaged. Then we'll start pulling it out. We're also probably gonna take the hood off. It just makes it a lot easier. So I will keep working on this, and we'll catch up with you guys later. guys, so that is a wrap for getting the motor ready to pull out of the STi. Everything's disconnected. The only thing I've left hooked up at this point are the transmission mounts and the motor mounts. AC's pulled, radiator's pulled, oil's drained. Everything's ready to go to hook up to the engine hoist and start pulling it out of there. We do need, there's a couple hoses that just go to the back that'll need to be disconnected. I'll have to double check over everything. The engine main harness I went ahead and left connected as well because it's fairly easy to get to. But other than those few things, we are ready to pull this bad boy out. Josh is going to swing by later this week. We're going to attach it up to the chain and start pulling it out of there, get it on the motor stand and start tearing it down. So looking forward to getting it apart, figuring out what exactly needs to be replaced, and then starting to put it all back together, get it back in the car, and start driving it again. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.